Two people can be on the same ship, the same cruise line, the same itinerary, and one of them will say it was the best time ever, and the other one will say they hated every second of it. Today, I'm breaking down the exact things that will either make or break your cruise ship contract. And most of them have nothing to do with the job itself. Section 1, your manager. A good manager protects the team, communicates clearly, has reasonable expectations of what their team can achieve, and ultimately lifts their team up. Bad managers have favourites, make small issues unbearable, overwork their team, and are responsible for a toxic work environment. With any job in the world, what's at the top will trickle down through a company. If the management at the very top are toxic, ultimately the culture is going to be toxic. And this is absolutely true on board a cruise ship as well. It does depend on what department you work in, but most of the time your manager is going to be in charge of your schedule. Now, if you have a manager that has realistic expectations and ultimately wants the best for you, they are going to create you a schedule that, yes, of course, takes into consideration the company needs, but also takes into consideration you as a human being. If you have a manager who doesn't take into consideration that you are in fact a human, your schedule is unfortunately going to reflect that. For example, I had one manager when I worked in the spa who would want us to start work at 7 and we weren't allowed to leave the spa until 10 p.m. at night. I had another manager literally right after her who was like, yeah, you can come into the spa at 8:30 if you have a guest in, and if you don't have a guest booked in, you can leave at 7:30 in the evening. And let me tell you, we made so much more money with the manager who took into consideration that we needed time to rest and recoup. Because like with the previous manager, when we were just stood around from like 7 to 10 p.m. with nothing to do, and we were like, why can't we leave? All it does is just make you angrier and more resentful and more bitter. And then you not only hate your manager, but you start to dislike the people that you work with and also dislike working on a cruise ship. Whereas the manager who lets you go at like 8 p.m, it means you can go to the gym or go to the crew bar. You can have an early night so you can wake up refreshed the next morning, and it just makes the world of difference. And the sad thing is, unfortunately, we don't have much control over the managers that we get. And sometimes you just get a bad one and sometimes you get a great one. But especially on cruise ships, it's a very transient lifestyle. So if you do get a bad manager, just know that it's probably not for long. They're probably going to be on board for 3-4 months at the most and then be transshipped, or, you know, they'll finish their contract and you'll get a new manager. But yeah, having a bad manager can really make or break your contract. The second thing that can make or break your contract is the relationship that you end up having with your cabin mate. You're going to be sharing a tiny space. If you're from different parts of the world, you'll have like different cultures and you might speak different languages. You might have different schedules that you need to work around. Cleanliness, boundaries. If they're noisy and they affect your sleep, that's going to affect your mood. You can love your job and everything about ship life, but hate your cabin and your cabin mate. And it's really difficult. And that's why I've made so many videos talking about how to cultivate a good relationship with your cabin mate, because a lot of that is in your control, and you don't have to be best friends with your roommate. In fact, some of my best living situations, I wasn't good friends with them. We just worked really well as roommates because we were compatible on tidiness, noise levels, schedules, respectful of each other's like space, time, shower lengths, possessions. But if you have to finish a really long day at work and you then have to go back to a cabin that you hate being in because you don't like your roommate, that is another level of exhaustion.
It would be nice to come back to a clean house. So clean it. I didn't do it. So how about you clean it? No. Yeah, because you're dirty.
Girl, get the out and go where you was going.
And I've experienced that, you know, instead of like I would finish work and I would go and sit in the crew bar because I didn't want to go back to my cabin, which would mean that most nights I didn't get to bed until like 11 p.m. and then had to be up at 7-8 in the morning to start work again. So this is 100% a big reason why your contract can be good or your contract can be bad. But fortunately with this one, I do believe a lot of it is in your control. I think any roommate situation can usually be solved with communication, because there are very, very few people who want to annoy their cabin mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can say to them, hey, the fact that you leave your towel on the floor after you've showered kills me inside. There's not a lot of people that are gonna just keep doing it after you've spoke to them about it. If you haven't spoke to them about it, they're probably going to assume that it's not a problem and keep doing it, which is why I say most of it is in your control, because if you're able to communicate your grievance, I would say 9 times out of 10, they're going to do what they need to do to make it a better environment to live in, because at the end of the day, they want to have a good relationship with you just as much as you want to have a good relationship with them. The third thing is the vibe on the cruise ship. Some ships are newer, some ships are older, some ships have a lot more facilities. You know, they might have games rooms, multiple crew bars. On some cruise ships, they might be more relaxed with guest privileges, so more crew members are able to use the guest areas when they're not at work and like go to restaurants. And then there's also just the vibe of the ship. Like, is it quite a unified crew, or is everyone quite segregated and keeps within their cliques and their departments? When I was on P&O Oceania, on one of the contracts, it was so unified. There was one crew bar. Everyone went to that crew bar. It was quite a lively ship as well, so like there would be people in crew bar every single night. And because it was unified, you know, the shoppies would talk to the spa staff, would talk to the chefs, would talk to the officers. However, one of the Royal Caribbean ships I was on, everyone just stayed in their department. No one really spoke to anyone outside of their department. There was multiple crew bars, so you would think it'd be better to have multiple crew bars, but I didn't like it, because when you do have one crew bar, everyone's going to be in that one space. When you have multiple, everyone's like spread out. And anyway, that's my opinion. And I wouldn't say this can necessarily break your contract, but it can make your contract. Like, if you feel like you're friendly with everybody on board and you know that whatever night of the week it is, you're going to have a great time, whether it's just having a cup of tea with someone in the crew bar or whether it is partying in the crew bar, it's nice. It's lovely. Section 4, your department culture. So I touched on this a little bit with the managers and how the toxicity can like trickle down. Now, if you have a good manager and you have a good team, oh my God, going to work is so much fun. I think this is one of the main reasons I loved Virgin so much, because I got on with everyone I worked with so well. Like, we were such a good team. So it really did feel like I was just going to work with all of my friends, which was really fun. And like, if you can have a bit of banter with the people you work with, it just makes the day go so much quicker and makes everything better. Whereas if you don't like the people you work with, you're at work for like 12 to 14 hours a day. So that's a long time to be surrounded by people that you're not that fond of. The expectation versus reality thing. So I went into detail on this in my video I did about the first week on board your first cruise ship, because when I went on my first cruise ship, there was no social media. I had no idea what I was walking into. So therefore, I just took the experience for what it was. Whereas now, there is so much social media. And if you are going to work on a cruise ship, you just open TikTok and you've got hundreds of people showing you the day in the life of them working on a cruise ship, and the sunsets and the days off in port and the crew bar. And so you paint this picture of what ship life should look like. So when you get on your cruise ship, if your cruise ship experience is not living up to the picture you've created in your head, it can lead to a lot of disappointment. And instead of just taking your experience for what it is, you're constantly comparing it to these social media videos you've seen. You know, maybe like, well, the crew bar on that TikTok video looked way livelier than the crew bar that I have on my ship, or that cabin that she was in looks a lot nicer than the cabin I'm in, or, you know, this person I watch seems to really like their roommate and I don't like my roommate. So as much as I think it's great now that before you start working on cruise ships, you can get a good idea of what you're walking into. I mean, after all, it's basically why I started this channel. I actually think the downside of it is you go in with a certain expectation. So all I would say is watch these videos, gather information, but just know that your experience isn't going to look like theirs, and that's okay. I really tried to do my best on this channel to give you a nuanced view. Like, yes, there are amazing parts of ship life, but there's also some really hard parts, and it's really important that you go on board knowing that. Your personality is a big reason as to what could like make or break your contract. Cruise ships aren't for everyone. Everyone's built for different things. Introvert, extrovert. Need for structure, need for freedom. Loves the noise, needs quiet. I personally thrive with structure. So being on a ship and having that structure and having all of those rules that I needed to follow never bothered me. I am also an extrovert. I love being around people. Whereas if you're watching this video and thinking, well, I have extreme social anxiety, so being around new people all the time and being in those situations is going to take a lot of energy for me, maybe cruise ships aren't the way forward. Just like if you're someone who doesn't thrive with structure and you need the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it, again, maybe cruise ships isn't for you. And this is what happens, you know, again, people see these TikToks of the sunsets and the crew bar and the traveling, and they make their assumptions about what ship life is, and then they get on board and experience the reality of it, and because of their personality, they decide it ain't for them. So I think it's really important when you are considering working on a cruise ship to be honest with yourself about your personality traits and what comes easy to you and what takes energy for you. If you know that you need a lot of personal space, a lot of alone time, maybe sharing a cabin is going to be difficult for you. I just wanted to put this in here that your personality can obviously play a massive part in whether you like ship life or don't like it. And nothing is wrong with that, either or. But, you know, not everyone is built for the same thing. Following on from that, where you are in your life makes a massive difference. When I joined cruise ships, I was 19. A lot of the friends that I had back in my hometown had left my hometown to go to university. So, if anything, I was kind of the last one to leave. Obviously, not to uni, to go on cruise ships. But the point is, I didn't feel like I was leaving stuff behind because everyone had already left. However, if you have a really established community, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult for you to leave. On the other hand, let's say that you have spent the last 20 years raising kids and they have now gone off to university, or they've left the nest and you are now kind of free to do what you want to do. This might be the perfect time to join cruise ships. And I think that can definitely make or break your contract. Like if you're going to go on a ship but spend the whole time on board thinking about all of the things you're missing back home, you ain't going to enjoy it. Whereas for those people who, for whatever reason, aren't really bothered about what's going on at home, it's a lot more fun. So with all that said, working on cruise ships isn't good, isn't bad. It's just whether it is right for you. The combination of people, the timing, the expectations. Now, I am always of the opinion that it's better to do something, find out you don't like it, and at least just tick it off, rather than be too scared, never do it, and then for the rest of your life it's going to be in the back of your mind like, what if I'd have worked on a cruise ship? I wonder what would have happened. Would I have liked it? It's better to just do it and just know that you don't like it, or, you know, love it. But anyway, I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please give it a like and press the subscribe button. And if you have any questions about this, you can leave them in the comments. You can send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email at lucy@cruisingascrew.com and I will get back to you. Working on cruise ships is a massive decision, so don't feel like you have to make that decision alone. I am here. But I really, really appreciate you being here. I hope you have found this video helpful. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next video.